2020 sucked, but that doesn't mean everything sucked. We've got some great anime to talk about in the 2020 simulcast. Talk about? I don't even know what this thing's called. That's gonna make the cut just because now.
The first one that I really enjoyed was Keep Your Hands Off Izoken. If you haven't seen that one, it's from Masaaki Yuasa, awesome director. He did Ping Pong, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, a wide variety of other great series. And it focuses on a group of high school students who start their own anime club. And it's really fun because visually it's just so wild. There's so much stuff going on. Their imagination just unfolds.
Seeing the way the girls' imaginations come to life is really cool. And I really enjoyed the characters. They're really like bouncy and very likable. If you've ever seen a visual for Izoken, you've definitely seen the tall looking girl, and she's probably one of my favorite characters. She's serious, but she's got a heart of gold in there.
It's just this great homage to creativity and imagination, and it's just so fun. And also, the theme song was so iconic. Like, you hear Easy Breezy and you just see everybody doing the little poses the whole time.
One of the first shows that I would recommend would be Id Invaded, and I will totally admit that this show had a really great build-up. It has great characters, it has a great world where they kind of do a deep dive into your psyche. And they can only do it because there are murderous intents among the crew that can deep dive into potential murderers' minds. And they're trying to solve these cases, and it gets really convoluted, but it still makes sense. And I don't honestly know how they could have ended it any better than they did, so it's a little bit of a letdown at the end, but it's still good. And the music is great in it. I love the concept. The concept is great. And if you're very familiar with Minority Report, it feels similar to that, but it's got its own unique anime spin to things. And it's just a really good show. I just wanted that extra oomph at the end.
So imagine Rising of the Shield Hero, except there's a female protagonist who doesn't want to get hurt. That is Beaufort. I max out my defenses so I don't get hurt. Beaufort, I max out my defenses because I don't want to get hurt. It is Beaufort. Okay. So Beaufort. Beaufort, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defenses. I think I got it that time. So it's about this girl who doesn't get isekai. Ooh. It's more of like Sword Art Online, where she goes into a virtual reality video game, and she starts playing it with her close friend, and she becomes a shield class hero. She really doesn't want to get hurt in the game, so she decides to just throw all of her stat points in defense, which is pretty smart, I'm not gonna lie. And she eventually powers up to be a very, very, very powerful girl. Overall, the series is pretty short, and it's really good.
Also on my list is The Case Files of Jeweler Richard, which was a complete gem, and yes, that pun was intended. It is really unique in the fact that it comes off as a slice of life that probably wouldn't have too terribly much to it, but it's got these mysteries involved, and everything circles around the gemstones that Richard, who is the jeweler, hence the title, is procuring from his business partners or selling to. And each individual episode is unique in who comes by the shop, who gets like their past reorganized, or something is a revelation. And it's just a nice show to watch, and you feel empowered because it kind of grows its plot. That's the underlying plot throughout the whole thing. So it's episodic while building a bigger plot in the background. And also besides Richard, there is Seiji, who really is just kind of trying to get his way through college and pay his bills. So he takes on a part-time job working for Richard at the jewelry shop. And you get the sense that he just wants to be the good guy and help out where he can. And life lessons come into play because he kind of is the bumbling idiot who meant to do well, but kind of made things worse sometimes. And it's just, I really enjoyed the show. I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did, so I would highly recommend The Case Files of Julia Richard if you haven't checked that out.
If you want an anime that'll make you happy and sad, just like 2020 did, I recommend Somali and the Forest Spirits. Somali and the Forest Spirits is about the story of a little girl that's abandoned in a world where humans don't exist. She meets a golem that at first, he is protecting the forest, but he doesn't want to protect her with it. At first he just completely rejects her, you know. Then slowly he starts to care for her more and more, and then he takes on the role of like a parent. And he's like, I need to help her go find humans, you know? She needs to be with her own kind. So he does not have that long left. He's a very, very old golem. So they go on this amazing journey to go and find humans. And they meet actually a lot of friendly demons and other like species that are actually really nice. And you know, some of them, they don't know that she is a human. And humans are very rare, and usually if they are found, they're eaten by those demons. So this anime, it's very similar to The Girl on the Other Side, and it also is somewhat similar to The Ancient Magus Bride. So if you like those two, I highly recommend this one. This one's very underground, and I wish it would have got more attention last year. But I loved it, and I'm sure you'll love it too. It's only 12 episodes, and it tells an amazing story.
Also, let's talk about Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, because that show is awesome. If you're looking for eye candy, if you're familiar with The Count of Monte Cristo, that came out probably sometime in the 2000s, that is a great example of what kind of eye candy you get with Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. It has a lot of overlays, it's got a lot of detailed textures, and it's not overwhelming. It's just really gorgeous show to look at. And not only do you have something that's eye candy, but you also get a great storyline. So the whole thing starts out with Nene, who is this girl at a school who knows there are 7 wonders at the school, and they're kind of like ghost stories. So she's kind of interested in all of them. She finds herself in some trouble, and she goes to ask Hanako-kun in the girls' restroom, who is bound to the toilet, for some help. Little does she know that Hanako-kun is a guy. She was expecting a girl ghost, because that's how the story goes. And he kind of plays around and messes with her. It's just kind of like him having some fun, but their relationship develops, and they really worked well together, and she starts to consider him a friend, and he's like got this really deep background that I'm not quite sure what it's doing right now, because they never got into it very much in the anime, but they've got a lot of great characters that help build the story, because he's obviously a ghost, and he's from the World War II era based on his clothing. And it's kind of interesting to see what they're doing, because there's another guy that shows up later that it's like, whoa, what the heck is going on here? And the plot is just great. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, it's great eye candy. So Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, go check that one out too.
I am actually pretty new to anime, so I watched 2 since I started here, so Stars and Aggretsuko. And it was an interesting introduction to the genre. So basically, Beastars was one I just finished not too long ago. I literally watched every episode in like an evening, which was probably a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing I just got through it all at once. Bad thing was I got it through all of it at once. There was a lot of teenage angst, and I think they captured that perfectly. There was a lot of times where that was very serious, and I'm not gonna lie, I was laughing hysterically because I was like, oh my God, this is giving you flashbacks of being like 16, and like, you know, the most trivial things were incredibly serious that I look back at now and I'm like, oh my God, I was an idiot. And that show like captured it absolutely perfectly. There's a lot of queer baiting between Legoshi and Lewis in the first few episodes that I was honestly here for. It was just a lot that I just didn't know was really that big in the series. It could have also been the fact that it was, you know, one of them is a beast, I guess, meat eater, the other one is not. It's set in a world where animals have evolved, And basically, there's a lot of like kind of racism between the two like meat eaters and non-meat eaters. There's a huge power dynamic there. It just reminded me of a lot of the movie Zootopia, but like way more intense. And again, a lot of teen drama, which again, it was so goddamn funny. So just be prepared for that. The voice acting was good. I watched the dubbed version. The action scenes, the art was like, the animation was amazing. My favorite part was whenever Legoshi would smell like his main love interest in the series. They would do this like animation where you could see like the scent going into like his navel cavity, and like they would do this like almost an x-ray sort of thing. It was so beautiful. I was so here for it. So cool. That was the best part of that series, honestly, was the animation. I will say Legoshi is like a super depressing character. But again, that just added to the teen angst feel.
It's a necromancer. It's not a necromancer. Although there might be necromancers in it. It's Interspecies Reviewer. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know, right? There could be necromancers in that one. There probably is farther on past the episode that it got canceled on. But yeah, Interspecies Reviewer. If you don't know about this show, you've been living underneath a rock, mostly because a lot of people talked about it. Not a lot of people got to actually see it, though.
Now, you've probably heard about Interspecies Reviewer from its multiple controversies. And I am going to say this, those controversies are somewhat well-deserved.
It's got some brothel-oriented adventures, and a lot of the characters in the show don't really have a lot of clothing on. It got pulled from streaming after episode 3. It is one of those stupid, crazy shows where it sounds like garbage, but if you give it a chance, it does the whole 180. It makes you think, oh my gosh, this is well written. It actually has interesting characters. And the guys who you think would probably be taking advantage of everything, they're the ones getting taken advantage of. These girls at the brothels, they know their clientele, and they kind of get the guys for all they're worth, including their money.
Normally, I'm not a fan of fan service. I think it's gratuitous, but they pulled it off very, very well. I mean, the whole plot is fan service, and it's very funny, very, very funny. And just the amount of different types of girls and species they can come up with, it's interesting. And the sexual humor is grotesque, but it's very funny. So I would totally recommend it. Just don't watch it at your parents' house. They could accidentally walk in on you watching that and get the wrong idea. Don't watch it in public either. That's probably also a good idea.
It's just well written. Like, it's a fantasy show, and the world building is ridiculously accurately detailed. Why? Why would you think this much into it? But it works. So it is coming out. Critical Mass has announced a license for this, so that's coming in 2021. So for those of you that were able to see the first few episodes, more of it is coming. And it's interesting to watch and see, and I honestly do enjoy the storyline. You'd think it'd be like more voyeurism going on with the male gaze looking at the girls, and there is a lot of fan service. There's a lot of panning shots I could have dealt without. But it's all consensual. Like, nobody is forced to do anything. It's not awkward. It's not uncomfortable. It's well done. I don't know how to defend this without making it sound like smut, because it kind of is, but it kind of isn't, but it is. Yeah, I should shut up now. There, that can be the end of it.
One of my favorites that came out is Kageyasama Love is War Season 2. Not only was there an important election for 2020, there was an even more important election in anime. The Student Senate President election. In it, there is a couple new characters introduced. One of them is Miko. She is kind of a more pristine character. She really values morals and follows like everything to a book. And then her best friend, I can't remember her name. She also has a best friend who is supporting her. She doesn't want to join the student council necessarily, but she wants to help Miko's dreams come true. There is some rivalry happening, and you really get to see the best parts of Shirogane and Kaguya working together as a power couple against a common threat. Also in the season, you get to see Ishigami blossom into a full-fledged main character, which I am so happy to see. Besides the, whole Chica antics ensue. So really, really happy with how season 2 went, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Also, season 3 is coming out next year, so that's something to look forward to in the next year.
I should probably talk about a fun little one that I saw. It's called My Next Life as a Villainess. It's an isekai, but don't worry, it's nothing like the power fantasies that you see in other isekai. It's about this girl who dies and is reincarnated in another world. But this world is actually the world of her favorite dating sim game. And she's been reincarnated into the body of the villainess, who ends up dying in pretty much all the different endings for the game. So it's up to her to figure out how to avoid those death endings and succeed in the world. And it's actually a really fun reverse harem anime. The characters themselves are all like really bright and funny and well defined. And even though it kind of like turns its wheels a little bit in the middle, it ends pretty strong. And if you really are looking for something that's light, very fun, and full of character, My Next Life as a Villainess is a good one.
So if you're an artsy person, I would recommend Arte, which sounds kind of like what the title implies, but it's the girl's name. It takes place in the Renaissance era, and it follows around Arte, who is an aristocratic daughter, and she's being expected to just marry into a family and play the little housewife. But she loves art. She loves drawing. She loves to paint, and she wants to continue on. And her family is kind of like, we humored you, it's time to stop. And she's having none of it, so she leaves her family and strikes out on her own and convinces a master artisan to take her on as an apprentice. Now, this doesn't sound exceedingly complicated in this day and age, but back in the Renaissance era, it was like, a woman, you want to do what? So it's a lot of her struggle to show the men at large that she can do what they can do. And some of the stuff that she has to go through is very, you can empathize with her a lot. And I really appreciated her gung-ho-ness. Like, she's like, yeah, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna do things. And I just appreciated the characters in this story. It's a more laid-back show. There's a lot of like slice of life to it. And you get some really pretty art, and you learn how some of it's been made too. So check Arte out.
I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this one. It's a Netflix anime called Great Pretender. It's from Wit Studio, the team that did the Attack on Titan series. And it revolves around a team of scam artists and the heists they try and pull off. And it just has very much like Cowboy Bebop vibes to me, just sort of a weird team of people that wouldn't get together normally, you think.
The depiction of Los Angeles is pretty accurate. Visually, it's really, really beautiful.
The visuals on it are very striking, has this nice sort of very vibrant watercolor style that just catches your eye. And I think that one is one that people will eventually be starting to talk about a lot. It's just very pretty and very cool and just a lot of fun.
The voice acting in The Great Pretender is really good. One interesting thing about it is when they're in Japan, they speak Japanese. When they're in the United States, they speak English. However, they speak English with their respective accents, and they speak Japanese with their respective accents. So that's something that's kind of unique compared to other anime where you travel to another country and they speak Japanese all the way through. Very, very easy to watch, and it's very easy to binge on. So be careful, make sure you have time to do all your other stuff before you watch it, because you will get hooked on it really quickly.
God of High School. You probably heard a lot of rave about, especially if you watch Crunchyroll. So it is the perfect shonen. I literally love it. It's set into a world where fighters just kind of like duke it out, and they have a variety of different powers and abilities and weapons. Like we have a fighter who is just really good with the punches. Kind of sounds like Saitama, but he has different forms. So there is another girl who strives in a sword technique, and another one who is just really good at kicking things. Highly recommend checking this one out if you just want to see people beat the crap out of each other.
Now, Fire Force Season 2 is pretty interesting. It's mostly just delving into what actually happens, or like the background of everything, like who is the evangelist, who's the evangelist. It delves into that. It delves into what the pillars are, the Dola Blasts are, who is who, and it does introduce some pretty new characters. There is a lot of emotional intensity in this season. One thing I will say though, this season isn't very high in regards to filler episodes, and it's pretty good humor-wise. I mean, when they go to the Chinese Peninsula, there's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of really, really good fight scenes. Visually, the season 2 is really, really good. My only complaint is, and this is kind of a double-edged complaint, I guess, but the fan service. The fan service it's a bit over the top. You know, it's kind of just classic fan service, which if that doesn't bother you, then go for it. It doesn't really bother me. It's just kind of like unnecessary. However, that one time, one of the white clads named Assault, he was watching porn for training so he could fight somebody. That was pretty funny. I had to admit I lost it at that. I would recommend it. Like I said, there's a lot of action, a lot of drama, very little filler.
Moving on to another anime that I've been really thrown into since quarantine is Aggretsuko. Originally, I was not into it, and I had no idea what it was about, and then I binged all 3 seasons in one weekend and realized that it is an amazing show.
I just started watching Aggretsuko right after season 3 came out. And so it was another season I literally watched in like an evening without really realizing it, but honestly it's easy to do because every episode's like 15 minutes.
Imagine a red panda living in corporate America or corporate world, you know, trying to make a living and all that. You really get to see her struggle with the corporate life and the working life, which I really relate to. That
show is super relatable. There were definitely scenes where I was like, yep, I have been there. Especially there's a scene where she gets into like a car accident, and as someone who's cursed in getting into car accidents, it was like super relatable. I was sitting on my seat, I was like, girl, I've been there, like I feel for you.
But season 3 was released this year, so let's talk about that.
I will say that the show gets real dark real quick. And again, as someone who watched the whole series in like one long run, when it gets dark, it gets dark. And it is like thinking back to where it started and then where it's currently at, it's kind of just like, holy shit.
In season 1 and 2, it's lighthearted, very funny, might have like some dark humor sprinkled here and there. I will say that the last couple of episodes take a very sharp turn, and it is a wild, wild roller coaster of a ride.
Honestly, someone like me who doesn't watch a lot of anime, again, I've only watched like 2 shows. That show is a great segue in, especially like the animation isn't as like what I expected for an anime. That one is one I definitely recommend, and you will not realize how far into it you are until you are literally screaming at the TV because, you know, something intense is happening.
Another one I saw was Decadence. This was a fun summer blockbuster in a summer lacking blockbusters. It was set in a post-apocalyptic world, and all of humanity is living on this moving city called Decadence. And there's this one girl who really, really wants to go outside and like battle monsters that's been ravaging the land. But for mysterious reasons that you'll find out in the second episode, she's not allowed to do that. But that's not going to stop her from achieving her dreams. I can't really say a whole lot more because there's nice little twists and turns throughout the show, but it's surprising and I think the twists really pay off. It's worth watching at least the first 3 episodes.
So one of the shows that I enjoyed that was just fun was Millionaire Detective Balance Unlimited. And the main reason I really like this show is because the 2 main characters, Daisuke and Haru, just kind of fight and bicker the majority of the show. And it's ridiculous because Daisuke is the millionaire who I'm pretty sure has more money than that. He just kind of spends money to solve these problems. And he joins the police squad that Haru is on and just kind of throws money around to solve crimes. And he is actually pursuing some dirty, underhanded work that's happened to his family. And you learn about this as the show progresses. And poor Haru is like just pulled around on a leash because he's been charged to keeping track of Daisuke and his craziness. They learn how to get along. They end up, I think, becoming friends. And if you stick around through the whole series, make sure to watch after the credits on the very last episode. I can't believe Daisuke did that. That's all I have to say. So go check out Millionaire Detective. It's great fun. And that opening and ending theme, awesome. I had to pause the TV. It was making me laugh so hard.
Kind of picking up the back end of 2020 is Burn the Witch. So Burn the Witch is a new series by Tite Kubo, the creator of Bleach. And he created this new series where it takes place in reverse London, which is London, but like with things hidden. And it follows 2 people, Nini and Noel, who are witches, and they protect the city of London and the entire world from dragons. They fight dragons, try to keep what they experience under wraps from the public, so then there isn't any panic among the public. If you need something that could fill the void of Bleach, I highly recommend Burn the Witch. It is very, very good. Go check it out.
So for this season that's currently airing, I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's gotten off to a really strong start.
It's been basically my shonen fix for this year. It's about a really dumb guy who decides to eat a demon finger and gain its powers. But really, it's a surprisingly thoughtful show about death and how people mourn and making sure you're living your life fully so that when you eventually do pass on, you're able to do it with no regrets.
I really enjoyed the first episode where it kind of just dunks you down into the middle of the story and you figure things out as it goes along. I'm not sure what happened in the second years and why there's a panda and a guy that can only talk food and then the overly aggressive girl, I guess, is how I would phrase that. I don't get what happened to them when the first year crew seems rather normal, kind of. So the main story between the main guy and the demon and their struggle because, well, one is inhabiting the human, that is going to be really interesting, especially after a few episodes in because a deal has been made, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I'm enjoying Jujutsu Kaisen quite a bit this season. What else did you watch, Quinn, that you didn't talk about? Lots.
Oh, Talentless Nana. It is a wild one. So, it is called Talentless Nana. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend stopping watching right now before I spoil anything for you. You need to watch the first episode before you continue on. Okay, spoilers. Spoiler is there. Now let's continue on. So Talentless Nana is an anime where it is just, imagine My Hero combined with a world where superpowers haven't been limited. There's no rules or laws to restrict people from using their powers. You can see where there can be a problem with that. And it takes place on an island where all these kids have certain powers ranging from, I don't know, ice to fire. Todoroki split into two technically there. But yeah, a lot of people have different powers, which is like very unique. And there is one character, Nana, who is there on a special mission. And you discover more of her mission as the episodes progress. And you really get to see the dark side of anime. Highly recommend it. 2021 has a lot to look forward to.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe.
Did you watch anything new in 2020, or were you just hiding underneath a rock?
Let us know what you've been watching in the comments.
Thanks for watching. I'm out. Peace.
See you next time.
Bye bye 2020.